presentation.
Sure. So my name is Jack De Cicco. I am the founder and chief executive of Ventura Real Estate, who happens to own Ventura Real Estate Development, who is here today seeking the county's support and approval of a LERTA that was approved by the Borough of Palmyra as further outlined in ordinance number 817. The details of the request and the basis for the LERTA were shared with the commissioners on August 10th. I'm happy to go into those details again if that's your interest. If there are any particular questions, we can go right into the questions. So this is your time. I'm happy to manage it however you wish.
If you just want to recap the schedule.
Sure.
And then we can offer any questions.
Sure. So the schedule represents a tax abatement of 100% for the first 7 years. In year 8, 9, and 10, it reduces to 75, 50, and 25% respectively.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Cicco? Yes.
I do have a couple.
Okay, go ahead.
Jack, after you left at the last meeting you attended, I had quite a bit of feedback from the public who also attended the school board meeting. And my trust is not at the level it was at the last meeting. I want to be honest with you. One of the things that was produced was, I think, something from your website where you have it for sale for $4.5 million. And one of the statements you made at the last meeting was that you develop your own properties and keep them. And so that was the opposite of what I heard at the last meeting. I was informed that the school board had voted, but that had not occurred. And in fact, there were things that were done and said there that brought to light that you wouldn't accept a reduced number of years for a LERTA. I think it was either 3 or 5 that was suggested. And that you would be charging similar to what they do in Hershey, which is around $2,000 a month. And the statement was it's all or nothing for you, in that you wanted the city, the county, and the school district LERTA, or this would not go through. And so, and the final thing that I was unclear about, I heard you say there's a lot across the street for the use of this building, but then it was said later, outside of this meeting, that the lot across the street was for a future project for something else. So there was a lot of, I don't know, it just wasn't solid information. And so I want to give you an opportunity to convince me that these points are all wrong.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to do exactly that. I made a note of the concerns. If I miss any, please remind me at the end. I'm going to take them in the order that you presented them. So first of all, we don't have a website. What you saw with respect to the property being advertised for sale is what I would call capital management 101 or investment management 101. It is prudent to understand every single one of your options at every stage of a project's life cycle. So we market the property to understand, okay, if push comes to shove, if we can't get this project over the finish line, what options do we have? Well, we can sit and do nothing. We could sell it to the highest bidder, or we could do any number of other things. That's what you saw, that's what that listing was. I think what's more important is, what are my intentions? If my intentions were to make a quick buck, I can tell you with certainty that the lion's share of the value in this project was created after two things happened. One, the building was cleaned out and all of the chemicals were disposed of properly.
Thank you for
And then,
that.
of course, my pleasure. Secondly, the value was created when the zoning approvals were in hand. Okay, so if somebody had the intention of making a quick buck and walking away and moving on, that could have happened. It would have transpired a long time ago. I would not be subjecting myself to these meetings
But
if my intention was to make a quick buck and move on. So I
is
just
the
wanted
tax
to.
LERTA not transferable to the next person?
It is, but what I'm
Yes.
saying is the lion's share, the majority of the value in this property was created when the risk of a environmental cleanup and jail time was eliminated, and the zoning approvals were in hand. That's all. Yes, of course there's value to the LERTA. If there wasn't, I wouldn't be here seeking it. So that's the first question. Did I address the
Yes,
sale price?
but again, there was an implication that the LERTA was worth nothing to the new owner, but it is.
Oh, absolutely. No, that wasn't my intention. If that was how it came across, I'd like to scratch that from the record. No, it absolutely has value. Without it, so this is the next point. The school board, I guess what I'll say, the first thing I'd like to say is that there's an ongoing dialogue with the school board, with a key member of the school board. So that's positive. Okay. I never made the comment that for me it was all or nothing. I'd like to reframe the issue. Building a luxury product at this site is more of a really nice to have than a necessity. And just like anything else in your life that's a really nice to have, it comes with a price tag. Okay? It just so happens that in today's environment, that price tag is 30% higher because of where we are with inflation and costs. When you run the numbers, no matter how you slice it, if you want to bring a true luxury product to Lebanon County and Palmyra, you really can't do it without all three of the taxing authorities supporting what's in front of you today. It's really, really hard. It's really hard. Okay? And it's really hard because if you think about it financially, okay? I don't want to dive too deep into this, but just to give you a sense of how the financial dynamics work. To start off with, you're paying roughly $6 million more to build the same building that your competitor has. 6 miles or 7 miles down the street, don't quote me on that, it might be 10, I don't know, but your competitor paid 30% less to build the same building. One, they are still operating under a 6-year, it's a minimum of 6 years, 100% LERTA, which means they don't have the tax expense that I would have in the absence of this LERTA. The LERTA really just, it levels the playing field, and without it, a luxury product cannot be competitive, and here's what I mean. If someone else paid 30% less for a project, and they don't have a tax bill that you have, if push comes to shove, and there's a real competition for tenants, and to keep the units filled, and to pay the expenses, and to pay the debt, that's 30% higher because you had to pay 30% more, you have no leverage. You will lose, and it won't end well financially. That's the reason why the LERTA is what it is. That's the reason why the request is what it is. There's a reason why we requested what we requested. It wasn't a random throw a dart at a board, let's see where it lands. No, there's a real reason for what it is. And if you want to dive into it a little bit deeper, if you do the math and you take 6 years at 100%, which is what the competitor got, and you apply a ratio of 130% just to adjust for inflation, it's basically what we're asking, or close. So it's really just a way to level the playing field, and if everyone supports it, it's a way to bring this project to fruition. Without it, it's really, really challenging as long as costs stay where they are. Now, I could sit around and wait for years, but I'm an investor. I'm just like any other investor. I can't sit around and do nothing, be idle. I'll have to evaluate my options if this doesn't go the way that we want it to go, if we don't get the support that we need. Now, is there any flexibility with the board? I don't know. I really don't know. But I'm encouraged by the fact that there's an ongoing dialogue with them, and we'll see where it takes us.
Anything
So
else?
the-
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, so that was, I believe that addressed the second and third points. And then the last point that I have is the lot across the street. Before I go there, actually, you know what, if you don't mind, could I address that? The property, the entire property is under a deed that includes 4 lots. The 2 most significant lots are being used to build this luxury product. The other 2 lots, they're going to be developed too. What it will be, your guess is, well, my guess is probably better than yours. I don't want to say your guess is better than mine. But it's all going to be subject to the same process. The zoning hearing board, approvals, the community is going to have a chance to chime in. And so I can't tell you what's going to happen there, but there are two adjacent lots, smaller lots, that are part of this property.
Okay.
I think that was all of your comments. If I missed any, please let me know.
You got around them, yes. I guess that was your answer, so I can't change your answer. I want to say thank you for explaining your process. I happen to disagree with a lot of what you said. I think that asking our taxpayers to foot the bill for 10 years is not fair to our taxpayers. The school district and the municipality are fortunate enough to at least get an earned income tax. The county doesn't even get that. I did ask our assessor at the last meeting to check into what we would get, and I believe the figure came back $922.50. And when it's done, we would be getting $26,275. So, you know, that we're really hurting. We have increased mental health, increased drug and alcohol, increased people that visit our jail. We have increased everything that we provide in services, 911 calls, we have to dispatch. And the taxpayers who live throughout the county, really, and especially Palmyra, would be picking up the tab for all of those services. And for 10 years, 7 at 100%. And it just doesn't feel right, Jack. If you were willing to go 5 years with a declining percentage, I would be interested, but not in the terms that are presented. I'm sorry.
Okay, anybody else have comments?
Yeah, I would, I hear your points, Joellen, and there are downsides to the proposal, because yes, we would forego some very important tax revenue to the county, but I see the long-term benefits of the increased value of that property and the increased value of that part of our community to outweigh those in my mind. So I'm going to support it.
The other thing that I think is maybe hasn't been mentioned, at least today, is the public safety benefit. You know, saving that neighborhood from the blight that's there and also the toxic issues that you have eliminated. And the endorsement of the borough, they're the closest, government to it, and they fully endorsed. As a matter of fact, they went to the school board meeting on your behalf, unsolicited. So I think those are all indicators to me that, this is, plus I know we're getting $500 a year now on that property as a county, and to pop it in 7 years or 8 years to, in the $20,000 range is long-term thinking, and that's saving the neighborhood and making an investment that you're considering. And my understanding is that if you can't do it without all the support for this, that makes sense to me. So we thank you for, coming forward on a second time, and if there's any other questions, I'll take them. If
Just
not,
one more, and thank you for bringing that up about the safety, but I also think about just property values in general, that, again, this property value right now, the current property that you're talking about, is very low. and you're gonna invest in it to make it something really nice, but I think that has an uplifting effect on property values in that entire area.
Plus, the LERTA only impacts the improvement. We still will get our $500 a year for the first 7 years, so we're not losing anything by doing this.
We'll get $922.50 a year if
So-
it goes through.
Commissioner Litz is correct. So I had this conversation with the tax assessment office, and the thinking is as follows. The moment that a building is constructed on the property, they would be required to increase at least the land value.
Okay.
So the increase in the taxes, almost double, is all attributable to the land value increasing.
But I guess if you never showed up at our doorstep, we'd be getting $500. Or there, but I don't want to
Yeah,
go.
the property's been abandoned for a long time,
Yeah.
so yes.
So, okay. Anything else? A motion to approve.
I'll make that motion to approve that.
Is there a second?
I don't care to second
I'll
it.
second the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
So moved. Split vote 2-1. Thank you. All right, Jack.
Thank you again for your time, I appreciate it.
You
There's
bet.
a question in the back.
Yes.
Can I just ask a question quick before you leave? If this project is all luxury apartments, do you have any other property within the municipality or the county where you might be planning to put in any affordable housing? Because we also need affordable housing in that municipality, but also within the county. So if you're getting the tax dollars to build luxury housing, do you have any plans to do anything anywhere else for affordable housing?
So first of all, I agree with you that there is a real need, a tremendous need. I think it's common knowledge to build affordable. I don't have any current plans to do that, not at this site, and the reason for that is people much smarter than me, people who spend a lifetime evaluating sites and determining what the highest and best use is, have determined that luxury is best suited for this particular site. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to build affordable in the county. This is what I do for a living. So if the opportunity presents itself, I'm certainly open to the idea, yes.
Okay, I just know that there are some municipalities that have a requirement, if you build a certain percentage of units that are high-end units, you must also build 10% of your units must be affordable housing. So obviously Palmyra has nothing like that. Does the county have any kind of
Well, or
requirement like that?
that may be a, depending on the financing or the tax credits that you're pursuing. I'm not sure if that enters into that equation, but you've answered it. I don't, so the county doesn't have any.
Okay, I know there are municipalities that do, and I don't even know if any of them within Lebanon County do, but it's
Gotcha.
probably not a bad program to think about.
Good job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.